Ooh, hello, hello. And hello and happy Wednesday already. Where has the week been going? It has been going very fast, which in some ways is very good. You know, as many people look towards the weekend. Ultimately, Wednesday is my favorite day. That's when I am live. And I'm just double checking. Yes, lovely, fantastic. I should be live to the Janome Canada Facebook page, Janome America's Facebook page, Janome Sewing Machines, Janome America YouTube, and our newly retitled Janome Canada YouTube. We were Janome HQ, Janome Headquarters YouTube. Now we are Janome Canada Janome Canada YouTube. So it's a little easier for people to find all of these presentations. We still have our original Janome Canada YouTube channel. It's now called Janome Canada Archives. You can go back. Those are videos long before my time as an educator. You can still see the fabulous Celine, though, there. It's wonderful. Oh, my gosh. Hello. Sandra Gilmer is here. Hello. I hope you are well, too. It seems like forever since I've seen you. It's wonderful to see you all. And Sharon's here from Ohio. Hello, hello. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining me today. My name is Michael Smith, the National Education Manager of Janome Canada, back from my very cold palatial estate here in Collingwood, Ontario, Canada. I'm about 2 hours north of Toronto. And, you know, we had a wonderful March break, but, the last couple of weeks, wow, winter is just not letting go. And again, regardless of the weather, let's just stay inside and sew. So lovely. Oh, hello, hello. We've got lots of people from the States coming in. Hopefully it's getting warmer where all of you are. We just had a big ice storm up here. But again, luckily we didn't lose power. Although, did you know Janome has a sewing machine that's a treadle machine? It's a modern looking machine, but it's a treadle. So we don't even need power. We could still be sewing on our Janome machines. But luckily I'll keep all of mine because today, oh, Shirley's here. Hello, hello. We are going to talk about the fabulous lineup of Janome sergers. And yes, you may be wondering, well, oh, you're familiar with sewing, but you don't know about, ooh, geez. Sometimes I literally am all thumbs. But you don't know about sergers. What are they? What are they? Well, here we go. Our fabulous Janome sergers. Now, Janome has a number of sergers in the line. Some are more sophisticated and has more bells and whistles than others. For example, this is the fabulous Janome AT2000D air thread serger. Now, if you go on Janome Life blog and go scroll to my blog today, advertising this live, I have little videos where you see the air threading capability. They look different on the inside because of these air threading chambers. And believe me, as we're going to go over all of these serger presentations over the next month, we'll see more of this air threading in action. But yes, so we have a number of Janome sergers that have, again, different features, different bells and whistles, but they are more similar than they are different. This is the FA4 serger, which stands for free arm. And yes, it actually has a free arm capability here, just like our sewing machines. 4, because there's 4 threads. And again, most, I believe all of our Janome sergers will use 4 threads. 4 threads. They can also use 3 threads. Some sergers, these 2 models included, can even use 2 threads. And again, I'm going to be here all month. I'm entitling all these lives as part of our Janome Serger School, which we have on the Janome Canada YouTube channel that has videos of all the different machines and different techniques and different features. And all month, my lives will focus on the sergers and what they can do. So yes, what can they do? Well, I mentioned threads. We've got our these are big king cones of Madeira Arrow lock thread. Our Janome sergers come with smaller spools. They're about like this size, smaller spools of white thread. And then we can switch and get either the little mini king cones or we can get the big king cones. And They are very different in that our sewing machines, we use a bobbin in the underside and then we have our regular thread on the top. Well, we don't use bobbins in our sergers. Instead, basically, we have loopers. And the cool thing is, again, the Janome sergers, they're more similar than they are different. I'll remove my little scrap catcher here and we'll just go on a quick little tour of the sergers. So we have things like, yes, there is a lower looper and there is the upper looper is right here. It's this metal gear that moves back and forth as we see. Oops. There we go. So this is my upper looper, for example, moving. This is my lower looper that swings out of the way back and forth. So it comes over like this is the lower looper. The upper looper comes like this. So do this 10 times fast. So we're creating like a little chain stitch, basically, with the loopers, upper looper here, lower looper here. I have lower looper, upper looper. This is right needle and left needle. So regardless, oh, Linda is here. Hello, hello. So regardless of what serger you have, always at the most right-hand side is going to be lower looper, upper looper, right needle, left needle. So currently here in the FA4, I have my 2 needles. And then in my AT2000D, I actually just have 1 needle. I have my right needle. So lower looper, upper looper, right needle, and I've removed that left needle there. And we will see, well, typically, what does a serger do? Well, most of us, again, garment sewers is, I think, where sergers really came from. Here, I've done my regular 5/8 inch seam, and then boom, look at how beautifully finished those raw edges are. So as a garment sewist, we can certainly use, look at all that raw edge, all that wispy raw edge. So now I have my right needle in, and our sergers have a knife blade, which we can disengage, but the knife blade cuts off. And in our convenient scrap catcher here of the AT2000D, again, there I'm cutting off, again, my wispy bits of fabric, and look at how beautiful that is. So nicely finished. So if we're doing a regular seam as a garment sewer, then yes, we can finish off the raw edge of our fabric. You can choose to either sew your seam first and then press it open and then do your serging of your seam allowance, or I find it's easier to do the serging on the individual pieces first, and then you lay your pieces right sides together, you do your regular seam allowance, again, press it open. How beautiful is that? This is great for, again, maybe unlined blazers, or finishing the edges of your trousers, your skirts on the inside, again, on the outside, beautiful. You don't really see that extra buildup of that serger thread, but it just makes finishing your garment so much faster and easier. That's really the joy of sergers. But then, of course, as a garment sewer, we can do more than finish the edge of the fabric. This beautiful kimono, look, all beautifully finished and actually constructed on the serger. All of the main seams were constructed even to finish the hem edge before I flipped it up, and then I just top stitched it. And same with this facing that I just folded it over, finished the raw edge, and then just top stitched it down on the regular sewing machine. So that question sometimes comes up, does a serger replace my regular sewing machine? No, I consider the serger more like a microwave. We didn't get rid of our regular ovens. We just added a microwave to our kitchens. We can still, do the turkey in the oven, but if you want to heat up those leftovers, we throw them in the microwave. It's faster, it's easier, it's more efficient, and beautiful professional results. So the Serger is a great add-on if you already have a regular sewing machine and you want to do more, you want to beef up your sewing. Look at this and how beautifully finished it is. Now, sure, I could have matched my serger thread to my fabric is typically what you would do. But because these are my teaching samples, I show off, look at how beautiful that finish is. So that's what we can do. Not only just a 3-thread, in which case, again, for the 3-thread, I used my lower looper, my upper looper, and my right needle. Well, when I construct on a garment, or even if I want a slightly bigger seam, then we use those 4 threads. So again, here is another example. Look at how beautiful. I love using accent thread. These are 4 threads. So I'm constructing this knit hoodie all at the same time as I'm finishing off that raw edge, and it just makes it all flatter, lays beautifully. When I studied fashion design in college, my sewing teacher said the inside of the garment has to look as good as the outside. So this is where sergers really do help make the inside of the garment beautiful. I only have 1 foot control here, so I have to swap back and forth with my FA4. So yes, here I am on the FA4 with my 4 threads. So we always recommend, our sergers come threaded with white thread, but I always recommend get different colors. So you'll see here is my left needle, there is my right needle. This is my upper looper, this like pinky thread is my upper looper thread. And then on the back side, there is my lower looper is in black. So I have set up, again, my AT2000D. I could use my lower loopers in black. It's on the underside there. The pink thread that you see across, that's the upper looper. And then right needle is that little line. Whoops. Oh my gosh, from Australia. Hello, hello. Then the right needle, there is this little blue. And then the left needle is this, or that's kind of purpley. And then the left needle is the blue. Now, again, in my machine right now, I've removed that left needle, but I could insert it. And there I would do my 4 threads. Just for time's sake, I thought it would be easier if I could just go back and forth between machines. But again, so when are we going to use, again, as a garment sewer, knit fabrics? I'm not sure what came first, the stretchy knits or the sergers. This is excellent. Have you ever had with your knit fabrics, or any garment for that matter, where the top layer stretches longer than the bottom layer? Then, oh, you don't need to worry about that with our sergers. And again, we've got the, in this case, oh, I had deactivated my knife. So I could, yes, deactivate the knife, in which case it's not going to cut away anything. There we go. Look how beautiful that is. So 4 threads. So we're constructing at the same time, not just finishing the raw edge. And again, from the front side, you would never know that was done on a serger. But again, we've got that stretch, so my seams are not going to pop. So that's on knit fabrics. Again, woven fabric, you just take your little bunches of samples and you just run it through. The good thing about sergers is, again, any fabric pretty much. So I've done knit fabric, here's some woven fabric. Oh, even thicker fabrics like denim. So yes, look in the inside of your jeans. Do you have your one seam that is the flat felled finish, and then you have the other seam that was finished on the serger? So in this case, again, here I'm constructing, because of that 4 threads, it's extra secure. Now, when I mentioned about my contrasting thread color, again, if I really pull this seam apart, you see my red thread here that's in my left needle. You see that red thread. So when you're thinking of getting your larger cones of serger thread, you're only really going to see that needle thread. So your loopers could really be anything. You're not going to see them except on the inside. So there you'll see my white upper looper, in which case, again, white is upper looper. And then I have my 2 red needles, and then there is my lower looper of my red thread. So I always recommend, again, switching out your thread colors to different colors so it helps you identify. And when we go and adjust our tensions, some of the sergers have knobs that you'll turn, others have these lay-in tensions, and we turn them here, and you'll notice everything is color-coded as well. Janome is so good at color coding each of these tensions, and that also coincides with all of the sergers have these color-coded diagrams on the inside. There's also diagrams in the instruction manuals. We have more and more videos on our respective YouTube channels, Janome Canada YouTube, Janome America YouTube. Check out Janome Life blog. We've got a ton of blogs about sergers. So all the sergers have these color-coded diagrams, how to thread them. So it's just good to have the different thread colors so then you can see which threads, which tensions you may need to adjust. Now we're still in winter here, even though technically it's spring. So how about thick polar fleece? Now, yes, I haven't adjusted my serger at all. The cool thing is, now sure, I could raise my foot here, and we do have a slightly elevated extra high lift on the sergers as well. But I really love doing the sergers. I'm just using my thumb to tip up this foot, and we can just butt this on close to the needle. I don't even have to reach around and raise the foot. There's a big spring here on these feet. One lady in one of my seminars told me it got in the way and she had her husband remove it. And I said, oh no, that spring is there for a reason, to help keep your foot down, but also, again, it's just convenience. I could tip it up like this and butt my fabric up to the needle. Look at that big, thick polar fleece, but it went through, no problem. Or here I've got, some felt. So even if we're doing some home decor projects and we've got thicker upholstery fabrics, or maybe we're doing some crafting, with this felt, or maybe costumes for the kids, anything. Again, look how beautiful that is. So again, any kind of, this is a kind of satiny material. So again, it's any kind of fabric, basically, we can run through the serger. And in fact, and again, I didn't change anything. I didn't change my tensions. I didn't change my needle. In fact, earlier I thought, look at how beautiful. I even ran a tissue through our serger. And again, I can tip up my foot and just do this. So how beautiful is that? Again, we can sew on pretty much anything. So tissue or paper towel even. So much we could do. So as a garment sewer, we can construct, we can finish the edges of our fabric. I made these, again, t-shirts. So simple to do. These were patterns from Jolie, a very proudly Canadian company based in Quebec. You type in your browser, Jalie is Jolie, and they have these beautiful, I think Nico was the name of this pattern, but a t-shirt pattern with raglan sleeves, very simple. But again, all the seams there done with my serger, beautiful. Or of course, who doesn't love these cute little, you have kids, you have little grandkids, how simple, how quick, all made on the serger. Again, there with that 4 thread, so it makes it extra strong. So we can finish the edges of fabric, we can construct. And then, of course, the FA4 serger. Oh, when would that be good? Well, we have the free arm here, so we can remove. And we have our little leggings. again, we can just go around in a circle there. So how cool is that? With that free arm, again, we can just tuck this in very quickly. As usual, time is my enemy. Just to raise my needles, and then there we go. So again, with the free arm, we can just go around to attach a cuff to finish off the sleeves, then the arm's eye area. Again, just so simple. We're finishing off a hem edge that we're then maybe going to take to our domestic sewing machine, and maybe we're going to then turn up this hem on the sewing machine. But this way, again, it was all stitched in the round. How beautiful that could be. Then do my hemming, and again, because of that free arm. So there are many different sergers in the Janome line, so you can check them out online. What is the difference between a serger and an overlocker? That is a great question, Linda. Basically, I find that serger is like a more North American term. The official name for them is overlocker, because we are, again, like overlocking that edge. On our sewing machines, we have an overcast and an over edge stitch. So in this case, for the sergers, they're overlocking. They're locking the threads together over the edge. So overlocker is kind of the more professional term, but I find it's more used in, you know, the UK and in Europe, and again in North America we seem to just call them sergers, but they're the same machine. So when else can we use our serger? Well, I've shown this beautiful tote bag before. This was all constructed on the serger, including this little piping detail. So great, you're not a garment sewer. You can use your serger to construct the side seams. Even this pieced pocket started out as this wonky log cabin block. Can you tell that it was stitched on the serger? Well, I can tell by this side. Look at how beautifully finished everything is. No stray raw edge showing, nothing. So I constructed my block, simply folded it over in half, and then boom, that was my block folded under the edges and top stitched with my regular sewing machine. But the body of the bag, the inside, even this piping detail, there are extra serger accessory feet and accessories that I'm going to show in I think it's my third or fourth live this month. I'm going to show you the optional accessories, so we can do so much more with our sergers than just finishing the raw edge of the fabric. So we can construct the tote bag, or I showed this as well. Go back to Serger quilting presentation on our respective YouTube channels. Here is a trivet I've made very simply with strips. And again, with this quilt as you go technique, where I demonstrated, again, I've got batting in between. Here's my quilt top. Here's my quilt bottom. And then I have, another piece of fabric hiding. And then we simply put right sides together, fabric here, right sides together, fabric here. I'll take this over to my 4 thread. I could just use this with a 3 thread, but I always prefer 4 threads most of the time. It just makes it a little more stable, a little more secure. So again, then I've got my foot. I'm just going to raise. And here we go. I am just butting up my fabric raw edges together. So even with the extra thickness of having that batting and having that multi-layers of fabric, my serger handled it beautifully. And then I just flip this out, and then I get another little strip of batting and put it in there. So it's this quilt as you go technique. It is very fun. Go back to review my serger quilting live that, oh yes, my sister Deb is here. Then you can see me do this. And again, we've got many Janome Life blogs, but that is very fun to do. So again, here is my finished trivet. It could be any size, table runner, you know, even a bed runner. So quilting with your serger. Oh yes, we could do, I have so many examples. Again, a regular 4-patch, but it's all done on the serger, and how beautiful it is. And again, we don't have to worry about all the raw edges showing under. Have you ever had a quilt top with a light fabric and you see a stray piece of fabric under, a stray little thread of fabric under there? You don't have that with the serger. So 4-patch, and look at that match. Isn't that beautiful? So yes, we could do our serging or use our serger for quilting. I hope I'm not making anyone seasick. I also did a previous presentation on this very simple string quilt. You take all your leftover fabrics. This is from Christmas. I'm still working on it. But you take all your little leftover fabrics, all your little strings. It doesn't matter what the width of your strip is. You just butt them all together, and you make this very fast, easy string quilt. All of our sergers have these convenient side thread cutters. How beautiful that is. Boom. So this becomes my string quilt. It's all beautifully finished on the back side. And then eventually I'll square this up into a block, whatever size I want, and then sew several of them together. Again, go back to see that string quilt episode of See Me on the Sewing Machine, but we can easily do it on the serger there. So quilting, and you know, some of our, speaking of quilting, oh, there is a traditional log cabin block, all done on the serger, so we could use it for piecing our quilts. And some of our educators, I learned this many years ago from one of the Janome America educators. She serges after she's done all of her quilting. This is all beautiful. She does serging, because then when you attach your binding, it just flattens this edge and makes it so, and no little, you know, raw edges getting in the way either. It just helps flatten it a little better. So when we flip our binding over, however you do binding, it just flips it over, makes it a little more condensed, and it just feels beautiful. It's nice and flat. Oh, I'm so sorry. So again, how wonderful to, again, we can piece with our serger, and then we can do the raw edge to finish it up before binding. Or this quilt, all of this checkerboard piecing was done just with straight lines. Again, very simple and fast on my serger. And again, beautiful matches. But then even here, the actual construction of the quilt. You see the serger stitching here. This was like a quilt as you go technique. So the backside is all finished. It was all right sides together. And then here, that I wanted these serger stitches. So this is a great time to use some decorative threads, something that's going to show a little, adds to that, you know, decorative element to it. So you see the exposed stitching, but because of all those threads looped over, it's so secure, no raw edges. It was all beautifully done. And even this, as a binding alternative, I used the beading foot for the serger, and I couched this yarn on the edge because I didn't want to bind this. It's a big picnic blanket, basically. The kids can play checkers on this that I cut out of pool noodles. But, and again, on various blogs on Janome Life that shows me using the beading foot and constructing this blanket. And again, using that beading foot to couch yarn. So how wonderful. We can do couching with our sewing machine, but now we can do it on our serger as well. We could attach a string of pearls with that beads. So again, great for garments, or again, cosplay. Like how wonderful to create the costumes with your serger. Now, when I mentioned thread, like, oh yes, look at all these beautiful, these are like neon colors of thread, or we can just check with your Janome dealer. Here in Canada, at one point, I think we still have some of these in our warehouse, but again, check with your dealer. They may have these sets or similar set where they're neutral colors. We had 4 in black, 4 in white, 4 in gray, and 4 in natural. Or then again, check with your Janome dealer in Canada. We were distributing these fabulous Madeira Arrow Lock. Ooh, look at this. It's like candy. Yes, we were distributing these Madeira Arrow Lock threads. So again, all in neutral colors, because again, most of the time you're not even going to see the thread, and neutrals are going to blend with everything. So 4, because again, we can use 4 threads with our sergers, but again, we could remove one of the needles and just, I usually leave my thread in position, like my left, I don't have my left needle in play, but I just keep my thread there for whenever I do use my left needle again. But that's why typically serger thread are sold either individually, or we had these various packs, you know, where there's 4 of each of the colors on the little mini king. These are the mini king cones. You still got a ton of thread on there. So if you have a thread in your needle, like a hot pink, for example, that you're really not going to use a lot, you can even use regular sewing thread in your needle. The looper thread is what wraps around. There is, again, my upper looper that you see and my lower looper. That's what kind of locks, it wraps around and it locks right on that edge. That raw edge is where they lock together. So if you want to save your, again, hot pink, just use it in your left needle in this case. If your regular sewing thread, your loopers can be whatever you want, because no one will see them unless you take off the garment. Or again, in my quilting examples, no one will see them when my layers are all quilted together. Yeah, the quilt as you go technique is really fun. It's so good on the serger. Again, they can handle all that extra thickness beautifully. So there's so many things that we can do. So double check with your Janome dealer about, again, what threads that they have. Serger thread, because we're using more of them. Typically, again, 3 or 4 threads. Some of our sergers, again, can use 2 threads, our lower looper and 1 needle. Serger thread is more fine than regular sewing thread. It's typically 2-ply as opposed to 3-ply is what regular sewing thread is. So the loopers in particular, because again, we have the lower looper and upper looper, we typically will use 2-ply thread there. In our needles, again, right needle or left needle, we could use a regular, you know, 40 weight 3-ply thread in the needles. They're going through the fabric. And again, we might use a smaller regular spool of thread for the needles. And the bigger, more economical cones, that's another advantage to the sergers. We can use these bigger cones to save more money. So then that is good. All of the sergers have the little cone adapters, which come with the sergers, or we can also get these separately. If we happen to lose any or break any, we can get them separately from your Janome dealer. So again, they're great for these larger king cones. For the mini king cones, we won't need them, or for regular spools of thread, again, we won't need them. But we have things like, oh yes, even thread nets included with our sergers. So in the looper, we can use some of the specialty threads, like this is like a floss thread in the loopers. And if you go to the Janome Serger School on Janome Canada YouTube, you'll see I've did presentations all about different threads we can use on our serger. So again, a lot of decorative effects for home, deck, and garments, particularly in the loopers, because they're going around the edge of the fabric. They're not going through the fabric. So we can use some specialty threads in the loopers. And I'm going to do, again, more presentations this month all about that. What weight is the 2-ply serger thread? Good question. I think most of the weight, I believe they're about 60 weight is most of the time. So thread is the higher the number, the thinner the thread, the lower the number, the thicker the thread. So I believe serger thread's about a 60 weight. So a little bit more fine than regular sewing thread, which is typically about a 40 weight. So that in a whirlwind, of course, there's always more I could share, but again, this is going over my time as always. So that just gives you a little insight of sergers. What are they? Why they are so special, and then what you can do with them. The sky's the limit with what you can do with them. There are a lot more than just finishing the edge of your fabric, but if that's all you do, then wow, you see what a great time saver that was to finish those raw edges of the fabric, and again, how professional they look. But again, you can also construct with them. This polo shirt, for example, all constructed on the serger. So how great is that? And then, of course, we get into quilting and home deck, and I've got lots of samples to show you. So thank you, everyone, so much for joining me today. I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will see you all next week. Bye.